Dear students, I welcome you to the lecture that deals with cultivation and utility of maize. Maize or corn is one of the most important cereal crops in the world agricultural economy, both as food for man and feed for animals, including poultry. It is also known as queen of cereals because of very high yield potential. Over 85% of maize produced in the country is consumed as human food. Green cobs are roasted and consumed by people with great interest. The grains of special variety called the popcorn are characterized by a hard corniceous interior structure, are converted into the popped form, which is the favorite food for children in urban areas. Several food dishes include chapatis are prepared out of maize flours and grains. It is the world's leading crop and is widely cultivated as cereal grain that was domesticated in Central America. It is one of the most versatile emerging crops having wider adaptability. Maize is the only food cereal crop that can be grown in diverse seasons, ecologies, and uses. Besides this, maize has many types like normal yellow, white grain, sweet corn, baby corn, popcorn, waxy corn, high amylase corn, high oil corn, quality protein maize. Apart from this, maize is an important industrial raw material and provides large opportunity for value addition. Globally, it is cultivated on more than 160 million hectare area across 166 countries, having wider diversity of soil, climate, biodiversity, and management practices. The global maize area amounts to 197 million hectares, including substantive areas in sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, and Latin America, making it the second most widely grown crop in the world after wheat. It is an established and important human food crop in a number of countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, and a few countries in Asia, where maize consumed as human food contributes over 20% of food calories. Compared to wheat and rice, maize is a more versatile multi-purpose crop. In the developing economies, it's primarily used as a livestock feed crop with a varied role as an industrial and energy crop. With economic development, including income growth and urbanization, the consumption of animal source food is accelerating and propelling the demand of maize as feed. Maize thereby plays a diverse and dynamic role in global agri-food systems and nutrition security. The annual production of maize is 1,137 million tons globally, which is markedly 50% higher than both rice and wheat. The divergence reflects the substantially higher maize grain yield, mostly linked to widespread hybrid cultivation and complementing input use. Maize cultivation spans both emerging economies and the developed world, including 165 countries distributed across the Americas, Asia, Europe, and Africa. The global maize area is primarily located in the Americas and Asia, with over a third each, followed by Africa and a fifth, and Europe with a tenth. Maize also shows marked yield differences between regions. The Americas thus contribute half of the global maize production, followed by a third in Asia, that is 32%, and the remainder primarily by Europe, 11%, and Africa, 7.4%. There is a substantive heterogeneity within each of the continent regions. The maize area in the Americas is split between North America, mainly USA, and Central and South America. Some two-thirds of Asian maize area is in the East Asia, mainly China, and mostly temperate maize compared to mostly tropical maize in South and Southeast Asia. The marked divergence in yield translate into varying sub-regional shares in production. The production of 361 million tons in USA and 259 million tons in China dominate the maize production, producing together over half of the global maize production. Globally, 8 countries USA, China, Brazil, Argentina, Ukraine, Indonesia, India, and Mexico produce over 25 million tons each and together account for 881 million tons or 3/4 of global maize production, that is 77.4%. In addition, it generates employment to over 1,000 million man days at the farm and downstream agriculture and industrial sectors. Maize is primarily used for feed, 60%, followed by human food, 24%, industrial starch products, 14%, beverage and seed, 1% each. Thus, maize has attained an important position as industrial crop because 75% of its produce is used in starch and feed industries. In India, maize is predominantly cultivated as rain-fed crop, but due to focused research on single cross hybrids. Now, we shall talk about taxonomy, origin, and evolution. First, taxonomy. Maize belongs to the tribe Maize of the grass family Poaceae. Zea was derived from an old Greek name for the food grass. The genus Zea consists of 4 species, of which Zea mays is economically important. The other Zea species, referred to as Theosinite, is largely wild grass native to Mexico and Central America. The number of chromosomes in Zea maize is 2n equivalent to 20. Tribe Maize comprises 7 genera which are recognized, namely Old and New World groups. Old World comprises of Kiox, 2n is equal to 10 or 20, Chionaceae, 2n is equal to 20, Scleracinae, 2n is equal to 20, Trilobanchi, 2n is equal to 20, and Polytoca, 2n is equal to 20. And New World groups has Zea and Tripsacum. It is generally agreed that maize phylogeny was largely determined by the American genera Zea and Tripsacum. However, it is accepted that the genus Coix contributed to the phylogenetic development of the species Zea maize. The transformation of maize from Theosinite involved evolutionary forces such as mutation, hybridization, genetic drift, and selection, aided by the activities of human beings who selected useful variants out of large populations of Theosinite and concentrated them into isolated evolutionary pools. This resulted in the differentiation of maize into large number of races. The races gradually got adapted to different agroclimatic regions in the America away from the center of origin. On the basis of morphological data, several authors suggested that there has been extensive gene flow between maize. The place of origin of maize is still uncertain. Of the 3 believed ancestors, popcorn, wild maize, and Theosinite. Theosinite is accepted as ancestor of maize now based on cytogenetical and molecular evidences. Maize is believed to have originated in Mexico, Andean highlands of Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador. The maize plant was unknown in the Old World before 1492, by the time Columbus arrived in America. The maize was introduced into Spain after the return of Columbus from America, and from Spain it reached to France, Italy, and Turkey. The plant was grown in Europe as a garden curiosity. It was introduced into northwest Himalayas of India probably in early 17th century through Silk Route. Now we'll talk about botanical features of maize. Maize is a tall, determinate annual C4 plant varying in height from 4 meters, producing large, narrow, opposing leaves borne alternatively along the length of the solid stem. The botanical features of various plant parts are as the root. Normally, maize plants have three types of roots. First, seminal roots, which develop from radicle and persist for long period. Second, adventitious roots, fibrous roots developing from the lower nodes of stem below ground level, which are the effective and active roots of plant. And lastly, the brace or the prop roots, produced by lower two nodes. The roots grow very rapidly and almost equally outwards and downwards. Suitable soils may allow corn root growth up to 60 cm laterally and in depth. Stem. The stem generally attains a thickness of 3 to 4 centimeters. The internodes are short and fairly thick at the base of the plant, becomes longer and thicker higher up the stem, and then taper again. The air-bearing internode is longitudinally grooved to allow proper positioning of the airhead, that is cob. The upper leaves in corn are more responsible for light interception and are major contributors of photosynthate to grain. Now, flower. The apex of the stem ends in the tassel, an inflorescence of male flowers and the female inflorescences, that is cobs or ears. They are borne at the apex of condensed lateral branches known as shanks protruding from leaf axils. The male, that is staminate inflorescence, a loose panicle produces pairs of free spikelets, each enclosed by a fertile and a sterile floret. The female, that is pistillate inflorescence, a spike produces pairs of spikelets on the surface of a highly condensed rachis, that is central axis or a cob. The female flower is tightly covered over by several layers of leaves and so closed in by them to the stem that they don't show themselves easily until emergence of the pale yellow silks from the leaf whorl at the end of the ear. The silks are the elongated stigmas that look like tufts of hair initially and later turn green or purple in color. Each of the female spikelets encloses two fertile florets, one of whose ovaries will mature into a maize kernel once sexually fertilized by wind-blown pollen. As the internodes of the shanks are condensed, the air remains permanently enclosed in a mantle of many husk leaves. Thus, the plant is unable to disperse its seeds in the manner of a wild plant, and instead it depends upon human intervention for seed shelling and propagation. Now, we shall talk about geographic distribution. Maize is the world's leading cereal crop. It is cultivated globally over an area of about 147.26 million hectares with a production of 724.6 million tons of grain. In India, the crop is cultivated on 7.4 million hectares. Among the states, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar are the leading producers of maize. Now, the classification of maize. Maize is classified into 7 groups based on the endosperm of kernels. The first one is dent corn, known as Zea mays indentata. It is popularly known as dent corn because of dent formation on the top of the kernel having yellow or white color. The depression or dent in the crown of the seed is the result of rapid drying and shrinkage of soft starch. This is the most common type of maize grown in United States. Second is flint corn. It is known as Zea mays indurata. The endosperm in this type of maize kernel is soft and starchy in the center and completely enclosed by a very hard outer layer. The kernels are round on the top. The color may be white or yellow. It was discovered by Europeans with early maturity and can germinate in cold and wet soil. It is grown in Europe, Asia, Central America, and South America, as well as it is principal type of grain corn grown in India. The third one is popcorn. Popcorn is known as Zea mays averta. The size of the kernel is small and the endosperm is hard. When they are heated at 170 degrees centigrade, the pressure built up within the kernel suddenly results in an explosion and the grain is turned inside out. The grain is used for human consumption and is the basis of popcorn confectionaries. Its cultivation is mainly confined to New World. The fourth one is flour or soft corn. It's known as Zea mays amylacea. It possesses a soft endosperm. Kernels are soft and various colors, but white and blue are most common. They are like fruit kernels in shape. It's widely grown in the USA and South Africa. The fifth one is sweet corn. It's known as Zea mays saccharata. The sugar is 20% on dry basis at green air stage, and starch makes the major component of the endosperm, which results in sweetish taste of kernels before they attain the maturity. After maturity, the kernels become wrinkled, the cobs are picked up green with 70% moisture for canning and table purposes. The crop is mainly grown in northern half of the USA and Canada. Yellow is predominant grain color and are rich in vitamin A and vitamin C. Now the sixth one is pod corn. It is also known as Zea mays tunicata. Each kernel is enclosed in pod or husk in an ear which is enclosed in husks like other types of corn. It is a primitive type of corn not grown commercially. The seventh and the last one is waxy corn. It is also known as Zea mays seritina. Kernels have waxy appearance. Starch is entirely composed of amylopectin in contrast to common dent corn. Starch comprises of 78% amylopectin and 22% amylose. Waxy corns are of Chinese origin. The mutations of dent corn have resulted in evolution of waxy corn in United States of America. The waxy corn hybrids developed in USA with starch similar to tapioca are grown for supplying new raw materials for specialty products of the wet milling starch industry for textile, paper sizing and corn oil. Now we shall talk about the climate requirements for maize. Maize is a warm weather crop and grows right from sea level to over 3000 meter altitudes. It requires adequate moisture and warmth from sowing to end of flowering. The optimum temperature for germination is 21 degrees centigrade, while for growth it is 32 degrees centigrade. Extremely high temperatures coupled with low humidity are not conducive for pollination. It cannot withstand frost at any stage of its life cycle. The crop prefers the areas receiving an annual rainfall of 50 to 100 centimeter. The crop also grows well in areas with annual rainfall of 250 to 400 centimeters, such as Assam and West Bengal hills, provided the fields are not flooded. The crop needs more than 50% of its total water requirements in 5 about 30 to 35 days after tasseling. Inadequate soil moisture at the grain filling stage results in poor yield of shriveled grains. Soil. The crop is grown on a wide range of soils. However, it prefers well drained fertile soils. The soil should be medium textured with good water holding capacity. It does not thrive well on heavy clays, especially lowlands. It can be grown successfully in soils with pH ranging from 5.5 to 7.5. The alluvial soils of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Punjab are suitable for raising good maize crop. The soils with sandy loam to silty loam texture are best for the crop. Now, the land preparation. A deep summer plowing after rabi crop followed by light plowing by country plow and planking is required. For heavy soils, 2 to 3 plowing are needed. In areas of high rainfall during Kharif, ridge and furrows are made to use furrows for provisions of drainage. In Rabi, spring and summer season, planting in furrows is preferred over ridge planting. This is done for achieving higher water use efficiency. Now, sowing of seeds. About the time of sowing, with the availability of thermo and photoinsensitive varieties, it's now possible to grow this crop throughout the year. Usually 3 crops of maize, viz. Kharif, Rabi and Spring, are grown in the country. As a rain-fed Kharif crop, maize sowings are spread over the month of June and July, corresponding with the onset of monsoons. In the northern hilly regions, the crop is sown in May as an irrigated Kharif crop. It is sown a fortnight or a month before onset of monsoon to avoid waterlogging, damage to seedlings due to heavy rainfall. In North India, this practice helps in taking an early rabi crop of toria or potato before wheat. Rabi and spring maize has become popular owing to higher yields. Besides, their sowing periods are flexible and thus can be fitted in any cropping system. Rabi maize in Bihar and surrounding states of Indo-Gangetic plains is sown from September to November. In northwestern plains or zones, sowing should be delayed beyond first fortnight of November as it leads to poor crop performance due to cold climatic conditions. The spring crop is sown during late January to end of February. Baby corn can be planted all the year round, except December and January. Second week of September to first fortnight of February is the best for baby corn cultivation. For sweet corn, June to July, that is Kharif, and September to October, that is Rabi, are the optimum times of sowing. Now, the seed rate and spacing in maize. Each plant is important for realization of potential yields. During Kharif, a plant population of 65,000 to 70,000 per hectare is recommended for grain production. The seed should be sown at a spacing of 75 centimeter to 18 centimeter or 60 centimeter to 22 centimeter. A seed rate of 20 kg per hectare is required. In Rabi season, plants put up moderate growth owing to low temperature. Hence, it requires 30 to 40% higher population than that of Kharif season. A plant density of 85,000 to 100,000 plants is maintained. The plant spacing vary from 50 centimeter to 20 centimeter to 60 centimeters is to 18 centimeter. A seed rate of 25 to 30 kg per hectare is required. For baby corn, the optimum plant density varies from 1,25,000 to 1,43,000 per hectare with spacing pattern of 40 centimeter into 40 centimeter to 40 centimeter into 35 centimeter with 2 plants per hill. In short statured hybrids, as in case of VL42 with 160 centimeter high, still higher plant density, that is 1,75,000 per hectare, is maintained. Thus, baby corn would require 38 to 50 kg per hectare of seed. The optimum population for sweet corn varies from 45,000 to 66,000 per hectare with spacing of 70 centimeter into 30 centimeter or 100 centimeter into 15 centimeter. This would require a seed rate of 10 to 11 kg per hectare. Now, the method of sowing. Commercially, the crop is sown by drilling with seed drill. Under wet soil conditions, the tines may get choked with soil, resulting in blank rows. This method is quick and is suitable for light soils at all moisture levels and in other soils at optimum soil moisture. For maintaining optimum population and to avoid thinning, seeds are dibbled manually at required spacing. This method requires less seed rate and is best for costly varieties, hybrids. Dropping the seeds in the furrows opened by plough followed by planking is also one of the common methods of sowing. After germination, the seedlings are thinned out to maintain optimum plant stand. Hill sowing is the other method adopted for sowing. In this method, the seeds are dropped with the help of corn planter placed at appropriate place and pressed for dropping 3 to 4 seeds at a place. It also needs relatively less seed. The optimum depth of sowing is 7 to 8 centimeter in Kharif and 4 to 5 centimeter in Rabi. The optimum planting depth for sweet corns is 3 to 4 centimeter, while for super sweet corn it is 2.5 centimeter. A seedling per hill is optimum for all maize types. However, 2 seedlings per hill are optimum for baby corn. Now we shall talk about the varieties of maize. The Maize Improvement Program got a boost with the establishment of All India Coordinated Maize Improvement Program in 1957. A large number of double cross hybrids and composites were developed and released from them onwards. However, since 1980s, single cross hybrid development is given more emphasis. Trishulata, three-way hybrid, and Paras, first single cross hybrid, were thus released in 1991 and 1995 respectively. With increasing emphasis on Rabi maize cultivation, cold tolerance cultivators Pratap and Pratap I were evolved in Punjab in 1983 and the same were adopted in Haryana too. Specialty corn, popcorn, sweet corn, baby corn, high oil, waxy and amylo maize and quality protein maize developed have been emphasized since 1970s. These efforts have resulted in release of Shaktiman 1 in 2001 and 7 Shaktiman 2 in 2002, QPM hybrids, Amber popcorn released in 1981, VL Amber popcorn and Pearl popcorn 1995. The sweet corn composites developed include Madhuri 1990 and Priya 2002. Though no exclusive baby corn types were evolved, early maturing hybrids developed Prakash, Vivek, Vivek 5, Pusa 1 and Pusa 2 have been found suitable for this purpose. So, dear students, I hope you enjoyed learning about cultivation and utility of maize. Thank you.